Hi, my name is Samantha Gould, and this is my audience. All right. So, today, my title of my speech is going to be Dying on Your Own Terms. Often people ask each other, why do you want to live like this, whether they mean it in a good or a bad connotation? But I want to focus on how terminally ill patients, they ask themselves this and the same question, why do I want to live like this? They wish to have their death hastened in the event of an unescapable illness. And people should have the right to have a say in their own bodies. You would think so, right? No, because we live in America where everything is controlled by rules and regulations for us. And that's why I'm here today to show you all why it is very crucial for the United States to make the legalization of physician assisted suicide a thing. First, I want us all to sit here and just listen to this story made by an article by Guy and Stern on a case discussion about Mr. C. Mr. C was a 25-year-old male who developed a limp in his left leg. And once that limp became something that he had a problem with, he went to the doctor and they found out it was a malignant osteosarcoma, meaning cancer in the bone. And when he had that limp, then he started to get his radiation therapy and many surgeries, but it all led to cardiovascular issues and ultimately gave him prognosis of 3 months to live. And while he wanted to live his whole life as a 25-year-old man, he had 3 months to live. So he would want to end all of that pain and suffering in a very peaceful way on his own terms. And that's why he should have the option to do such a thing with physician-assisted death. This topic is very hard because I'm an empath and I get very compassionate on things like this. So that's why I did extensive research and found the debate and the arguments all against this so that we can all today understand why it should be legalized in the United States. So with all of this said, I'm here to persuade you on why assisted death should be legalized in the United States by first explaining and defining what it is and the reasons why it should be legalized and ultimately the solution to make it legal. First, let me begin and help you all understand of what it is. The definition from medical author William Scheel on medicine.net, physician-assisted death, also known as PAD, which I'm going to refer it as today, refers to the practice where a physician can provide a terminally ill patient with a lethal dose that they, at their request, that they can do on their own terms. Although it does have some interchangeable words, whether it be physician-assisted suicide, physician aid in death, or euthanasia. According to an article in 2014, the PMC defines it as a painless killing of patient suffering from an irreversible death or disease, and it's also known as the death with dignity. And I love the name because it just gives the basis of stemming from the basic facts that terminally ill patients, not the government, but the patient, should have a say in their end-of-life decisions and how much pain is enough. Now, let us look at this debate. So, looking at LoneStarCollege.edu, they had an essay on the right to assisted suicide. And it brought up many things on how it's looked at from religion and morals, and then physician having the debate within themselves, whether it is dying or killing. But you and I have the decision to do that with the DNR, which is something that can say that I don't want to be resuscitated in the event that my life is going to end. And that's just one example showing that the United States should legalize assisted suicide, physician-assisted death, because we already have something similar to it. If you look at someone complaining that a dog is so old and will die soon and that they need to put down, why don't we have that same compassion and that same attitude on sparing pain for humans? Moving on, let's focus on how it presented itself through time and the backing reasons why PAD should be legalized. Physician-assisted death is now legalized in 9 states, and according to Fast Facts and CNN, in July of 2020, it states that California, Colorado, District of Columbia, Hawaii, Maine, New Jersey, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington are the current states with death dignity laws. Out of the 50 states, only those 41, and they have those end-of-life options. The Hastings Center wrote a briefing on PAD that mentioned how the Netherlands have had this in their had this statute since 2002, and that is also one of the many reasons why the United States needs to bring attention to this issue and why it needs to be legalized in each state in America. People travel to, for example, Oregon, so that they can get physician-assisted suicide instead of being and spending their life in their own comfort of their own home, surrounded by their own family. And that's because this is just something that people need to have a choice for themselves. And as time goes by and the pandemics take over years of our lives, we are being destroyed by illnesses, and people think that death is the only way to end their suffering. Looking at patients, they have family, and looking at costs and all of those things, there was something said by a published article by Ronald. It says that every day someone is kept alive is more unrealistic bills. And the cost of maintaining a dying person has been estimated from ranging from $2,000 to $10,000 a month. Now, looking at the relationship between clinical depression and hastened death, Konovich and co-workers in an article from PMC said that 59 of these patients expressed a desire for hastened death. And this links to the decreased ability of doing things they loved, and they're bedridden, and they just have no dignity in their life anymore. All because that someone else is choosing how to end their suffering, and they won't have the ability to choose their suffering, which is leading to more bills and sadness. And this is why it is a great option to have control of their own life by providing them with PAD. To put it all together, let's move on to a plan of action. And I am not here to show you a whole thing of crash course on how to make a bill into a law, but we are going to show how this is a widespread problem. Of course, at first, come to the constituents, so us. So we need to make sure that we are voting for the right people that have the idea of us and making sure that their ideals align with us. And then we want to look at how we can change this. So of course, it'll go through the House and the Senate and then the president. But moving on, we already have this issue at attention and looking at both sides, so there can be some things looking for each other. And we don't only just let the government look at these ideologies, but we also make sure that the people are looking at them so that they can go for both sides. For example, there are already regulations set in stone, and both sides can provide safeguards to patients protecting and the patients and the misuse of PAD. This includes a confirmed prognosis of 6 months or less, and then they have to have, because from the Death of Dignity Foundation, they helped understand that 2 physicians must confirm the patient's competence and prognosis with a voluntary request. They have to ask for it. And then twice they have to say that I want this to happen verbally and 2 separate times. Sparing pain is the most compelling reasons, and it gives immense support on why this legislation should pass in order to make this legal. All these cases and policies hurt to talk about, but it's something that we need to talk about. By all these states obtaining an aid of dying statute with the Death of Dignity, it allows a voluntary option, giving patients dignity and allowing their final days to be with their loved one on their own terms. I hope you all learned something about PAD, and I hope that we can all educate ourselves and others, and making sure that we're voting for the right people and understanding how it is affecting ourselves today. Today, we talked about on how physician-assisted suicide should be legal in the United States by defining it, giving reasons, and then moving towards a solution. Thank you all for listening to my speech, and I hope that we can all move towards allowing people having the opportunity to make a choice on their own life and death situations. Thank you so much. Oh, this is my bibliography that I use to read the sources. And then this is my audience. Thank you. Goodbye.